In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. So over all these years, almost 24 years, we've talked about the Samaritan woman. So what have we talked about? We noticed the Lord's crushing of societal and religious norms in this remarkable encounter, where Jews had nothing to do with Samaritans. And Jewish men did not speak face to face with women, especially Samaritan women, and particularly sinful and impure heretics like this one. And certainly not about deep spiritual and theological matters. It's harder to say what rules he did not break than to enumerate the ones that he did. Many. Clearly, Jesus was not concerned about rules and regulations and religion and restrictions and social things today. Not as he sat speaking eye to eye with this strong woman, for she, as I think we can see, was no pushover. There is a rare and beautiful mutuality in today's reading. The Samaritan woman and Jesus appear to be empowering each other, inspiring one another to look deeper and go to a deeper self-disclosure to one another. She asks questions and Jesus replies, and he encourages more questions. Tell me more, he seems to be saying. And she responds. The dialogue is mutually beneficial. They connect, and in this connection, they draw each other out, as writes Cynthia Bourgeau, that wonderful Anglican priest. They drew each other out into greater and greater self-awareness. Until, for the very first time, Jesus reveals his true identity as the Messiah. And he awakens her at the same time. He awakens, writes the theologian Bruno, that which lies at the core of my own being. End quote. And I would add, as he opens to us, the core of his own being. It's a mutual thing. Bruno continues, the knowledge of Jesus Christ is a unitive knowledge. It is the luminosity of my own true being. We've talked also about the Lord's attempt to alter the predominant view, a pagan view, that God was very far away and only to be worshipped in certain places, by certain kinds of people, only in certain prescribed ways. Not on this mountain, he says, nor in Jerusalem, he says, but in spirit and in truth. And by this, he meant everywhere. Not here or there, but here and there. In a new and different way. That is not through ritual or sacrifice, but spirit and truth. And unfortunately, the Lord's words have been largely misunderstood, or even worse, ignored by us. And we still hold tight to the idea that God is not with us or near us, or he is in us only and not in them out there. So let's get to the bottom of the story. The great revelation that is revealed by Jesus to Photini, the Samaritan woman, is that the temple of God is not a building or a city or a mountain or a shrine or even a religion. The temple of God is the human person. Paul says it. Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit? That's pretty plain. How does Jesus say it? Jesus breathed on them, and they received the Holy Spirit. Pentecost came, and the glory of God descended not upon an earthly temple, but upon the people, the multicultural crowd gathered in Jerusalem for the Passover. The prophet Joel prophesied that the Spirit will be poured out on all flesh. Quote, "And afterward," he writes, "I will pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions." We've also talked before about the meaning of the words spirit and truth as rather breath and awareness. For that is what these words literally mean in the Greek. Spirit and truth, or breath and awareness, are things that happen through the agency of mind and body. We breathe with lungs and noses. We become aware with our minds. The worship of Jesus, and the one he speaks of, occurs in our bodies and in our minds through our breath and our awareness of his presence within us. Do we not, in the words of St. Paul, not live and move and have our being in him? Is not God everywhere and in everything? And do we not, in an action both continuous and involuntary, breathe consciously and continuously in and out, not only the air, but the God in whom we both live and move? How then can we escape him? How then can we depart from him? Only through our own ignorance, and never in reality. When we breathe God. When we eat God. When we love one another, it is God we are loving, and God who is loving. All of life is sacrament, say the Fathers. All of life is communion, says the Church. There is nothing in life or in death that is separate from the one who is. And this vision of the human person as temple changes everything. The burden of judgment is lifted. The veil of fear is drawn back. We are free and can be confident in the knowledge that all things are well and everything will be well, for everything is in him. For God is with us. God is in us. We are his dwelling place. What is missing these days is an awareness of this non-dualistic and mystical truth. God is the heart and soul of all things. And when we come to see this, we discover what it means to be saved, enlightened, and deified. We see him everywhere. We see him in others. We see him in ourselves. Jesus led Fokine, possibly the first person to ever hear this radical thing, into a deep and profound mystical experience. And that is where he would like to lead all of us. And that is how it can be for all of us. Cynthia Bourgeau, I quote again, notices something else in the Gospels. That the people who become disciples are those who encounter the Lord personally, not through hearsay, and not in order to get something out of him, but only through a deep and personal heart-to-heart event of radical and mutual self-disclosure. That is the narrow gate. And those who attempt to come another way will not find him. There is no substitute for this. No ritual, no formula that can replace this necessary encounter, which gradually leads us to the same vantage point from which Meister Eckhart writes this, quote, "The eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me. My eye and God's eye are one eye, one seeing, one knowing, and one love." In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.